Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my roommate I don't want to split groceries anymore because she keeps eating all my snacks? So my roommate Sarah and I have been living together for about a year, and we've always split groceries 50-50. We do our shopping together, and for the most part it's worked out fine until recently. Sarah has been eating all of the snacks we buy within the first few days. I'll get home from work excited for a bag of chips or some cookies only to find them completely gone. This has happened multiple times, and it's not just a handful of snacks, it's pretty much everything. I've politely brought it up to her, but she just laughs it off and says, "I'm a snack monster." After the 5th time this happened, I told her I think we should stop splitting groceries and just buy our own stuff from now on. She got super defensive and said I was overreacting and that it's just food. She even accused me of being selfish for wanting to keep our groceries separate when we've been doing it this way for so long. Now the vibe in the apartment is super awkward and she's barely talking to me. OP, people have issues with their roommates eating all of their snacks way too often. A lot of the times when people start snacking super hard after not doing so for so long, they may be struggling emotionally with some issue. You've been together for like a year, and you say only recently she started doing this, so something changed in her. I'm not saying that your awareness should just allow her to do what she wants. I do, though, think that you guys could compromise, still buy the same groceries, and if it's the snacks that are a problem for you, take a Ziploc bag, label it as yours, and put half the snacks in those bags for you. And her saying that it's just food to you, food, and especially snacks, are super expensive right now. They're not cheap. You probably can't afford to get extra right now. You guys have snacks that should be shared. Split them with Ziplocs is my suggestion. If it becomes a problem with all of the food instead of just snacks, then maybe you need to have a conversation about getting a different roommate. Either way, she is not being respectful when she just laughs it off and says she's a snack monster. It's not funny. Down in the comments by Drama Pumpkin. If she's a snack monster, she has to buy her own snacks. If someone bought something 50-50 with others, it's basic courtesy to keep their share away. It's one thing to accidentally eat your share of snacks, but it's extremely disrespectful if someone did it repeatedly and even laughed about it. Believe when people show you who they are. She showed that she's not respecting you as your roommate nor your money. Believe that and limit your interactions to minimum with her as long as you live there. Not the a-hole for being a provider for a self-proclaimed snack monster. That's not selfish at all like she claims. Further down in the comments by Coldstream Capel. Not the a-hole, so it's okay for her to do it, but the moment you want something, she's suddenly inferring you're greedy? I'd be looking for a new roommate or place to live, but in the meantime, get yourself a lockable cupboard. Just one final side note, OP. She says you guys have been doing this for so long. You've only been living together for about a year. That's not very long. Our next story is by Important Shape 7353. Am I the a-hole for making keepsake books for my daughters that don't include my husband? So I, 31 female, have been making books for my daughters, 6 and 2, since my first was born. Every year on their birthdays, I write them a letter talking about them and how much I love them, and I have been pasting them in a book next to a picture of me and them for each year. I plan on gifting these books to them when they turn 16. My thinking was that we don't tell the people we love how much we love them, and I never want my daughters to question my love. You also never know how life is going to pan out, and this way they will always have a personal memento of my own words in case anything were to happen to me. Now, my husband, who's 33, has always known about this. I was never keeping it from him. I would write notes on my phone, and then when I got the time, I would write them out to put in the book. He would even go through my phone and take snippets of what I wrote from my notes and put it into his Instagram. The problem arose when my oldest daughter had just turned 4, and he came across me actually putting a letter in the book. He looked at the book and the pictures of me and her and said, "What about me?" He was angry that I hadn't included him and insists that I either go back and change all the letters to say we instead of I and print new pictures that have him in them or stop making the book. I haven't stopped making these books because I think they will be important for my girls to have. I've just put them in the back of the cupboard, hoping you won't find them. I feel like they are about my relationship with my daughters, and I'm a little sad my husband doesn't see the value in that. But I feel uncomfortable that they are now a secret from him. I guess I need some outsider opinions. Am I the a-hole, or is my husband being unreasonable here? Edit, to be clear, because it seems some people have misinterpreted, the books are not full of photos documenting my children's life, just 1 page per year with a letter from me and 1 photo of me with said child. Your husband's a jerk. What kind of man knows that you're doing some beautiful, sentimental gift and is like, you need to go back and put "we" in that or stop doing this sentimental project? Your husband sounds like he is or is on the verge of being super, super controlling. He is 1,000,000% the a-hole here. Now, if you had from the start put him in it to begin with, that might have been a nice thing to do, but you're not required to at all, and it does nothing to cheapen the books to not have him in it. You guys have other keepsakes that have to do with you. You have other pictures that have to do with him and you and them. He does not need to just stamp his name on this. He did nothing for it. Down in the comments is one post that I completely agree with. By Falling Faster 345, I am in the not the a-hole camp too. I don't think 2 parents have to always be lumped into everything together. It's okay for children to bond with one individual parent without the other one sometimes. The same way it's important for parents to have one-on-one time with each child in multi-children households. I see no issue with a gift being just from you or just your husband. I also take issue with any parent of any gender who just expects that the other parent will do everything for them. You have been investing in this 16-year project since they were born. Something that will be beautiful and sentimental and requires time and commitment. It's not like you did it in secret either. At any rate, to me, the fact that your husband wants to get in on it, despite never having even seen it, never offered to even help choose a photo or thought to write a letter, would send me into a rage. That's some real sign my name on the card of a gift they have no idea what's even in the box energy, and it's not okay. There is nothing stopping your husband from creating his own sentimental gift. I didn't read this as you trying to intentionally exclude him as much as you just wanted a book of photos and letters for your children, and honestly, I see nothing wrong with that. It's an amazing gift. Our next story is by Majestic Hour 1961. Am I the a-hole for leaving my elderly parents to struggle? My wife and I moved in to help my parents financially because they struggled with bills on their retirement income. My wife hated it. It was a downgrade from our lifestyle and a significant downgrade from what she was used to. We rented out our home, so we had income from that. My mom continued to be difficult, complaining about how my wife eats too extravagantly, even though my wife was buying the groceries. We started to go out of town for weekends because we needed a break. For some reason, my mom started taking up the only shower when she knew my wife had to leave for work on multiple occasions, causing my wife to be late for work. My dad doesn't do much because he has his old-fashioned views on cooking and cleaning, and they both chose to hate on my wife for her working in a career. Finally, my wife got sick of fighting with them over a shower and rented a small studio near her work. I started staying there more often, and I enjoyed the peace away from my parents. I told my parents I'm done supporting them and the house after a crazy high electricity bill when my mom will forget to close windows during the day but blast the air conditioner. I decided it's time for me to join my wife in the studio. My parents don't know how they can afford bills, food, and things like insurance and taxes. I told them maybe they need to downsize or sell the home. They said they would if we let them have the home we are renting, and I explained that on top of rent for the studio, that home still has a mortgage. Mom came after my wife saying she needs to downgrade her lifestyle, but I told my parents I think you guys should try that because I will no longer be giving them any money and they have to manage themselves. My dad asked what he was supposed to do, and I told him seasonal hiring is coming up and they need to get part-time jobs if they can't make ends meet. My parents act like I'm evil for suggesting this, but it's really their only option to keep the lights on and the food on the table. So you and your wife moved into your parents' house while you were renting out your prior home that you have a mortgage on to somebody else. to help with bills. I get that the price of everything has increased a lot right now, and it's hard for anybody, especially for older people that sometimes have trouble getting employment. But if I moved into somebody's house to pay the majority of bills and buy food and everything for them because they were struggling, and they told me or my spouse, you know what, you're too this, or you don't do enough of that, or you should change your lifestyle because we don't agree with it. Because we're traditional and we think a wife should stay at home and do all the chores. The statement where you said your dad doesn't do much because he has his old-fashioned views on cooking and cleaning, that's a more kind way of saying he doesn't believe that men should do any of the cooking and cleaning. So your dad does not have a job, and he refuses to do any of the cooking and cleaning. What does he do then? But them telling your wife that she needs to downgrade her lifestyle? Your mom is literally having long showers first thing in the morning when your wife has to go to work out of spite. It's obvious to anyone reading that. And you know what? It's so awesome that you moved into the studio apartment with your wife. They can downgrade their lifestyles or learn to be respectful of you when you're trying to be helpful. I would definitely be like, all right, we're leaving. See ya. Good luck. Down in the comments by Botany. Not the a-hole for wanting to cut support to your parents, but kind of an a-hole to your wife. I get that there's a feeling they're your parents, you want to do what you can to support them, but they are, specifically your mother, taking things for granted and lashing out at your wife for having a life. I think you should be putting your wife first over your parents right now because it sounds like your wife had to sacrifice more than you have. Our stories for today have come to a close. If you enjoy this content, please click like or subscribe. It helps my channel big time and it doesn't cost you anything. Until we meet again, have a remarkable day.